Then we move into June. So June 2026, it is, of course, a solstice month. We would have later in June, you have summer solstice, winter solstice, depending on your area of the world. And this is from the Gilded Tarot, which is a deck by Ciro Marchetti and it's published by Hay House. So this is the back of the deck, shiny gold. And we get the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands. So wands for me are fire energy, movement forward, power, passion, purpose. They can be magic wands as well. And by the eight, you're really moving into sort of fullness of something, fullness of the power, fullness of the passion and the purpose, fullness of the direction you're going in, fullness of the fiery energy, the magical energy that's there. So this is the Eight of Wands. And interesting, in this particular deck, all the wands are going in the same direction. So they're all moving this way. And what is important, the first message I'm getting with this is that what is important, because there's little sheep on the bottom. And I mean, sheep are valuable. They're important creatures for a whole bunch of different reasons, as all creatures are. But there's also a saying that when somebody is like a sheep, they're following blindly. Okay. Now, my understanding, I'm not a shepherd. So for those of you who farm sheep, you'll have different understanding. From a wildlife point of view, when I look at nature programs and any grazing, big grazing animals, they don't follow just one usually. Sometimes there is one that's making decisions, but sometimes it's the whole group that are making decisions. So the energy of this card, with all the wands going in the same direction, is following from that hearth card from May, happiness in our hearts and homes with the big gargoyle over the fireplace, bringing protection. With this Eight of Wands, it's really saying, okay, pause, check in with yourself, check in with your vision, check in with your intuition, with your knowing, and say, where am I aligning myself with decisions that are being made, with actions and words that are being made? And where does it really work for me? And where does it not? And it doesn't feel like it's so much about rebellion. It's not that. It feels more like deciding if everybody's going in that direction, does that actually work for me? And remembering always do no harm. So it's finding a real balance between saying, yes, this direction is important to me in these ways, but maybe not in these ways. And so I'm going to see if there's anybody else that I can align with who has that more moderate view or has the bigger picture in mind and in heart that is more important to me than just go in this way. So it isn't about following as sheep. It's about noticing, who you're with, what people are saying, what you're paying attention to, and where it really aligns with you and why. Where your own power comes in, where your own personal purpose and passions come in, and seeing, yes, with this group, I do really feel like we are all connecting together, and I know why, and I can see it, and I can feel it, and it honors me, and I honor them, and so we continue. Versus maybe another plan, another idea, another group of people that you go, I love this about them, but I don't love this and this, or I don't feel that that is a direction that I want to be working with or I want to be following. So I'm going to make some shifts or I'm going to talk to them about it. Remember, we've had communication as importance already in the year. I'm going to check on them to say, okay, is this really what you mean? Because I need to verify. Is that really what you stand for? Is that really the direction that you're going in? Because that isn't comfortable for me. That doesn't make sense for me. It doesn't feel honoring and aligned for me for these reasons. So I want to double check. So it's like both allowing the fire and the passion and the power and the movement forward with choice, but also really double checking where it works for you and where it doesn't. From an honorable wellness, overall taking care of yourself and taking care of others. So it's a lot of balance in there. Okay. And interestingly, it's bringing me back to think of the pentacles that we had with January, which was a Three of Pentacles, where we have a worker working on some stonework, creating feathers. But it's also saying that three is like that triangle. So you could do body, mind, spirit. You could put individual, community, family. Like there's different aligned groups that make up that kind of triangle or whatever shape works for you. And so this eight of wands, maybe there's eight in it. Maybe there's eight different quadrants that you need to balance. Like a year wheel is quite often eight, right? So do you have eight different themes that you're balancing? And when you look at somebody else who's making big decisions or big promises or big plans in motion, are they looking at the balance of eight things or three things or the next six generations? Or are they purely saying, this is the way, go this way, we've got to do this? Ah, it's not always so obvious. And it's not always so easy or simple to find that balance. But that's something that the June card is saying. Yeah, beautiful, sunshiny, fiery energy for those of us in the north. We get the longest days. So we get lots of sort of magical energy in that way, lots of growth coming up in our natural world, in June. But then there's this other side that's saying, okay, let me notice. Am I going with this? Am I standing with this? Does it make sense to me? Do those people or those objectives have the balance? Because if they don't have the balance, is it something that I can really align with? Or is it something that I need to speak to them and say, whoa, whoa, you're thinking of this, this, and this, great, but you didn't think about this. And so your balance is all topsy-turvy. Your triangle has a really weird shape. Or octagon is now an odd shape. It's not a balanced. My year wheel has one wedge that's massive, but the others, not so much. I don't know if that makes sense. So when you listen to this, let me know. Hopefully it does. Really interesting card. Beautiful plays between the power, passion, purpose, a lovely fire. And remember, we saw fire in the hearth card, fire in the fireplace. But again, it's reminding us that fire, when it's imbalanced and used as a tool and an empowerment within our own inner fire, is great. When fire is out of control, it's devastating on a whole bunch of different levels. So these eight of wands representing the fire say, okay, if I'm building something and I'm creating something and I'm getting it going more and more, is it in a direction where when that builds, it's doing good, balanced tools and resources and respect and honoring and wellness? Or is it creating an out of control fire that will only realize once the devastation is done? Oh, powerful stuff in June. Now, remember, I will pause here and I will remind you that if you're listening to this at the beginning of the year or multiple times so far through the year, remind yourself that you can notice, okay, I heard that message for June, but it feels really important to me. It resonates with me deeply. It gives me important indicators. I'm going to pay attention to that from the moment I first hear it and notice it. Does it have to be only in June? No, it may peak in June, or for some people, it may only apply in June. But for somebody else, maybe it applies elsewhere in the year. Because is time really time? Is it linear, or does it all kind of move and shift and play? And how we do things then adjusts time in a certain way, or adjusts the reactions and the responses. So if something in one of these cards is important to you and it's not that month yet, it doesn't matter. Bring in whatever you need to about that message or about that energy into wherever you are, whenever it's important to you, because that's a value and that's great and more empowering for you. Woohoo! Okay. Now I need to blow my nose because that was strong. So hang out, have a sip of tea. Apologies for the blowing nose. Excuse me. I could pause the video, but this is real life and this is live. I'm recording it, one take. Here we go. Okay, so we get that. We're gonna have a sip of tea and then we're gonna move into the second half of the year to July.